Dean Ambrose didn't wait very long after his contract with WWE expired to start making waves. Not long after midnight on May 1st, he posted a video on his Twitter account. I believe it's the Twitter that WWE forced him to set up all those years ago under his WWE name, which he never used. I think it was set up in 2012, and there were no tweets. He does not use social media, or at least up to now he never did. He never wanted to. But he had an account, he had the blue check mark and everything, and now it spells out the name Jon Moxley, which is the name he used on the independent scene before coming to WWE. The video shows him pacing back and forth in his cell, a jail cell, and he punches his way out through the wall. He climbs up over the wall, gets all cut up and bloody from the barbed wire. He's walking through the streets, and the cops are looking for him, sirens in the background. He's wrapping the barbed wire around his arm. It's digging into his flesh and cutting him up. And this is all interspersed with clips of him shadow boxing in a gym somewhere and training in a gym. And it ends with the name Mox on the screen, which may be what he goes by now. Maybe instead of Jon Moxley, he'll just be Mox. He learned from Vince McMahon, you gotta cut that first name out. All the people getting their undies in a bunch about how it represents him breaking free from WWE, from the WWE prison. And oh, woe is me, you know, he made millions of dollars and became a big star. Whoa, like mocking the guy. Like, oh, he had it so hard making millions working for WWE. Hey, maybe it does represent that. Or maybe it just symbolizes Moxley breaking out of prison. The prison that he's been in since 2011. When he went silent and Dean Ambrose was born. Maybe it has more to do with the return of the Moxley persona than anything to do with bashing WWE. See, I just blew your mind. So there's more than one way to look at that. By the way, I don't think anybody is feeling sorry for Dean Ambrose, that WWE ruined his career or held him down. The man was pushed as a top star for most of his run there. He was wrestling main eventers from his very first match. Multiple championships, pay-per-view main events. Paid very good money, I'm sure. One of the most popular guys on the roster, even when he wasn't really being pushed that hard. He was still one of the most popular guys on the roster. He met his wife there, he got married. WWE was very good to Dean Ambrose. They were more good than bad to Dean Ambrose. But by all accounts, he was frustrated creatively. I mean, when the initial report broke from the Torch, PW Torch, and Wade Keller broke the news at the end of January, they had the scoop that Dean Ambrose was planning on leaving WWE when his contract was over at the end of April. They broke the initial story, and I believe it was in that initial story it mentioned that creatively he was very frustrated. There were things he wanted to do, things he wanted to say, but he couldn't. He hated what his character had become. He felt it was way too hokey, which it was. Like, if you're an actor and you played a hokey, goofy character in a film franchise, and you were worried about being typecast as that guy, but you made $3 million a picture, maybe that guy gets offered a more serious, sinister role in another movie as some supervillain, even if it's for less money. But he's bored, and, you know, with the other role, he's just bored to tears, and he wants to be challenged creatively to see if he could do it. He thinks, hey, maybe this would be more fun. Maybe the movie's a flop, but hey, fuck it, I can't do both, so I'm going to take a chance on myself with this other film. You know what, dude? More power to you. Go for it. Now, I'll admit that his character, it grew stale. Very stale, a long time ago. And that heel turn was a complete disaster. I mean, that heel turn was just an epic fail. Totally botched. Money is clearly not this guy's primary motivation. Because he's probably made enough and he's probably saved enough to where when his contract was coming due, he was able to look them in the eye and say, thanks but no thanks. I respect that. I'm sure they offered him stupid money to stay in that company. And keep the Shield intact for another 5 reunions. And he said no. Seth Rollins tried to talk him out of it. He said no. Roman Reigns tried to talk him out of it. He said no. It wasn't about the money. And he never bitched about anything publicly. He stayed off of social media. He put his head down, he went to work, he jobbed to EC3, he jobbed to Bobby Lashley, he jobbed to Drew McIntyre, he tried to put these guys over on his way out. Whoever they wanted him to put over. Like a good little soldier, he put them over. He was looking up at the lights an awful lot these last few months. He was kept completely off the WrestleMania card. He went to work, he did his job, and he waited patiently for his contract to expire. Because he knew he only had a few months left on his deal. And he was going to be free. No tweets saying that, oh, I just asked for my release. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but no, nothing from him. Radio silent. No notes on Twitter or Instagram or cryptic photos, cryptic tweets. He waited for his contract to run out. So I don't know where some people are putting this guy down as though he's stupid or he's committed some kind of a sin. He went about things, I think, in as professional a manner as can be expected. Now he's free to do and say whatever the hell he wants and sign, if he wants to, with whoever he wants, under his own terms. I never saw him asking for anyone's pity. You know, these same people who would say these kind of things probably think, oh, what an idiot. Turned down millions of dollars to go hardcore wrestle or whatever they think he plans to do. The man can do what he wants. And one day he's going to be back in WWE. Not a doubt in my mind about that. And they'll throw in even more money. Even though money may not be the most important thing to him, they'll do whatever it takes to get this guy back. Because they can't make new stars. And they'll want him that much more. Maybe he'll be a bigger star when he comes back. Maybe he'll feel like a bigger deal. We've seen guys leave or get released and go away and come back. And at least initially, they feel like a bigger deal. It happened with Alberto Del Rio when he came back. I didn't care about Del Rio, but he left. He was everywhere. He even wrestled a little bit in Ring of Honor. AAA, Lucha Underground, he was all over the place. So when he came back, it felt like a bigger deal. He actually had a buzz around him, even though they started to kill it on his first night in. Even though he won the U.S. title from John Cena, what'd they do? They brought him back with Zeb Coulter. To this day, when Dutch Mantel will give interviews, and he's asked about that, and there's no great answer. It's not like there's some great mystery behind Vince McMahon's creative vision. He says himself, to this day, he cannot figure out why they put the two of them together. They just put the two of them together to be different. It was like oil and water. They didn't go together. Of course, it flopped. And it didn't take more than a few weeks to, the buzz was gone from Del Rio. He was just another guy, another cog in the machine. But, for a while there, he had a buzz around him when he left and came back, and Drew McIntyre, and you could probably find a few other people like that. Maybe that's Ambrose in a year, or in 3 years, or however long it is before he comes back, because he will be back. But with this one video, more people have talked about Dean Ambrose than they have in months. And now the speculation begins. Is he going to All Elite Wrestling? I do think he's going to end up there. And there were some signs people pointed out, if you paid attention, possible Easter eggs in this video. The shot of the dice on the wall for the Viper Club, which is a real nightclub in West Hollywood. The dice, double or nothing. Hey, it's in Vegas. That had to have been done intentionally, whether he's actually going there or not. Maybe he's just kind of fucking around with people. Apparently there were also marks on the wall of his prison cell, almost like he was counting down the days to busting out. And people with more of an eagle eye than I have pointed out that if you count out the lines of the marks on the wall, they equal 25. And Double or Nothing, of course, takes place on May 25th. Could mean nothing. But these things were not put there by accident. Supposedly, he is going to be working multiple independent dates starting next month. That does not stop him from wrestling for AEW. It only means he wouldn't be exclusive to them. And look, if he does go to AEW, the question then becomes, do you save a name like him as a surprise for the pay-per-view this month? Or do you save him for that first live show on TV, whatever network they end up on, in the fall? That would really be the only question. He would be fresh off WWE television if you had him show up in Vegas. But that, of course, is up to Ambrose. I saw Jimmy Havoc. Jimmy Havoc has wrestled death matches his whole career. He signed with All Elite Wrestling earlier this year. And he was the first AEW guy to tease wanting a match with Moxley after that video came out, but he also tweeted, "Give me Moxley," back on January 30th, when the news first broke that Ambrose was going to be leaving WWE, so he wants the match. Now, you can't talk about Ambrose without talking about the It's a Work Brigade. It's a work! Which is still out in full force, by the way. Oh, the video production was so slick, it looks so professional looking, they say, that it must have been produced by WWE. Because nobody else in the world can produce a good-looking promo video, apparently. Only WWE, they have a patent on the technology for clean production videos. It's all just the work, they say. It's all part of the work. Yes, Vince McMahon, the same man who everyone says is so out of touch and such a control freak when it comes to his own characters and his own personalities, is going to spend months having his announcers talk about how this guy is leaving when his contract is up. As though Joe Blow, watching on TV, who doesn't go to wrestling news websites and listen to podcasts, even knows when that date is, that his contract is up. But the internet says it's May 1st, so let's drag this out until May 1st. We'll have a million Final Shield fist bumps, and then we'll re-debut him under a new name that most people aren't familiar with, save for some indie fans who saw him break light tubes over his head 10 years ago, kill all of the equity that we've built up in this Dean Ambrose guy over the last 7 years, to have him come back as the Mox. To do what exactly? The same damn thing he's been doing for years? What exactly would be new about this character if he came right back to WWE, but under a new name? What, he's suddenly going to be wrestling barbed wire matches on TV? I'm seriously concerned about the mental state of some of these people. These are the same people who think Elvis is still alive, that Roman Reigns faked his leukemia, and that Chris Benoit was framed for murder. Like he's fucking Roger Rabbit.